Hello my friends and welcome, let's go straight to the frontline updates. Yes, I'm taking this Russian map because they show the Ukrainian counter-offensive, first of all in Zaporizhia direction in Kamensk, but also in Malo-Takhmachka region, where Ukraine successfully pushed Russians away with the confirmation, the confirmation is just behind my image, where Russians lost at least one of the defense lines near the road H08, so Ukraine continued to liberate this area, and even though Russian commander Gerasimov pointed out on his maps that Orekhov is almost fully occupied by Russians, but even Malo-Takhmachka is under Ukrainian control, and it is on the way to Orekhov. Well, before Russians went to Malo-Takhmachka, yes, and they even occupied Orekhova jail in Malo-Takhmachka, but it was recently liberated like 2 weeks ago by Ukrainian army, and Ukraine continued to push Russians hard. Nowadays, Russia concentrated their efforts in Konstantinovka. They tried to get the settlement under control with a small infiltration attacks. Ukraine repels most of them, but there is the presence of the Russian infantry groups inside the city already. But the Ukrainian infantry is also there. You may see the presence of the Ukrainian assault brigades. If we speak about vectors, the situation looks like that. So this is the gray zone expansion in the northeastern side, in the southern area, and also expansion of the red zone. The situation is similar to what it was in Pokrovsk, and with the resources Russia has here, they might have success in Konstantinovka soon. Well, in several months, I would say. And if we move northbound to direction of Kramatorsk and Slavyansk, there you can see the Russian infantry attack towards Rai Alexandrovka. For the first time, they were spotted in the settlement itself. Rai Alexandrovka is not that huge, but still several of the streets, and Russians went to one of the building and occupied it. I expect Ukraine to use some of the drones, but here it's just a matter of time, unfortunately, that Russia occupies Rai Alexandrovka, and they will move further this year. I think they will be stopped by this river that goes from Slavyansk, very close already to Slavyansk, and going south to Yurkivka. And what is new on all of those military maps is the situation with the Russian supplies. So we have some of the new videos coming of the Russian trucks and other Russian vehicles being ambushed on the way to Crimea mostly. Guys, just a short reminder, like this video just right now while you're watching it, and also subscribe for the channel. It is very, very important. Okay, you did it? Let's continue with the video. Now Russian trucks are trying to bypass the main highway and they deviate across the field roads, but even there they are found by Ukrainian drones. And here is one more truck on the main road. This is the highway, not just big trucks are hit, but also the smaller ones, but priority of course goes for fuel and for the military supplies. And this is Bukhanka van, or maybe the small truck, Russian KAMAZ, one more vehicle, so every few meters there is some of the corpse of the Russian logistics. It is definitely impaired, and from what I understood, judging on the Russian military channels, this problem is not even being truly discussed by the Russian main military command and by politician command. Putin himself, they're unaware about the disaster with their supplies. Well, maybe they have some of the facts, but they're not working on solutions. Yep, Ukraine attacks Russian forces, Russian army behind the front lines. This is the usual result, a hole done by Ukrainian FPV drone. Well, those Hornet drones are also FPV drones, but not the classical ones. A Russian general, Andrei Gurilov, who is also a deputy of the Russian State Duma, called the very terrible situation with the Russian supplies and says that this issue should be addressed to Putin right away, otherwise we're gonna lose the war. Well, later on he deleted what he said and he mentioned that his account was hacked. Well, I guess he was just pushed by the Russian FSB to delete his message. That's it. In Russia, everything is normal. Everything goes according to plan. All of the mentioning of the issues are being erased. And here's the example of the Ukrainian drone which flies at the very low altitude, extremely low altitude, on the way to hit some of the Russian logistics. I wonder why are they not stopping here? They continue to follow this drone and it flies very, very low, even lower than those wires were, On the video probably you saw them. The speed of the drone is not that high and they're just hunting Russian trucks. By the way, this drone is prompt to electronic warfare. So far, Russians were unable to intercept those using electronic warfare. And this Bukhanka van is free to go? Why? Well, maybe they're searching for some bigger target, or maybe they'll turn and hunt Bukhanka. Bukhanka is very slow, by the way. Yeah, very, very low altitude, so for sure they will not be spotted by the Russian air defense radars. Well, the good news for Russians, I guess, that they found one more ferry. They sent it to the Kerch Strait, and this is the queue for those trucks to go on the ferry. But I think it's just a temporary solution. As we know, Ukraine before cancelled all of the Russian ferries, so one doesn't really matter that much. And in the future, of course, Ukraine will aim towards it as well. Yeah, I miss those times with those big Russian attacking convoys. Now the losses of their vehicles are also happening. They're also happening, but they're not that epic. As you know, something big is burning, all-terrain vehicles, tanks, BMPs, altogether, multiple of the shots, etc. And Russians understood finally that those big convoys, they're useless. Well, I wouldn't exclude the Russians to use them once again, because they tried different tactics. For now, those are occasional attacks on random vehicles, like for example this Bukhanka with some of the humps on the top called electronic warfare, which doesn't work. Well, still the losses are pretty much the same, just not at once, but in some time. Yeah, probably gonna... Whoa, what did they carry there? TM62 mines? This is outstanding. Bukhanka is moleculed. Yeah, just some of the compilations of the front lines with some of the aiming... Well, what is this? Russians try to evacuate their vehicle from the front line. Okay. Well, they were unsuccessful, I would say. Both of the vehicles were lost. But the convoys are behind the front lines, so there's the show, yeah? Ukraine ambushed those Russian vehicles again and again and again, and they were burning. Trucks and everything, sometimes they move in those convoys. Ukraine nails everything down, and the range of using the drones increased dramatically to more than, I would say, 200 kilometers. Now it's the limit. If you speak about not FP1, FP2 drones, looted drones, those are very long-range drones, but smaller drones like Hornets, they're very effective. Russia put the soldiers there. Even the Russians are making fun. Some military personnel protecting the roads there, deployed maybe to the crossroad here. They cannot put all of the men there. Maybe it's important cargo that is up to be delivered somewhere. That's why they put the soldiers. But of course, in the current Russian army, just deploying troops across the road and the protection is under the question, yeah? Even in this case. Alright, some new kabooms are happening in Crimea. For example, this is the Panzer S1 air defense system. Russians are trying to protect those behind this barrier, but it doesn't really help, so Ukrainian FP2, FP1 drones managed to hit those pretty much hard. You see that it was a bullseye hit despite some sort of the Kapaneer cover. Awesome! Well, there's the compilation of the strikes on the Russian logistics. This happened in occupied territory of Donetsk Oblast. And here we go, there is some convoy of the vehicles. Russians tried to hide it in civilian residential block, but Ukraine nailed everything off. All of the trucks were cancelled. A huge fire, so supplies are gone. And also more vehicles. You see, Russians are trying to hide everything. Well, Ukraine obtains the information about the Russian supplies from Russians themselves occasionally because they post something in the social media. Also, Ukrainian intelligence is working as well as Ukrainian surveillance drones. So they're flying, tracing Russian trucks, and here it was a big kaboom of the local storage, ammunition depot, and the vehicle garage. Yeah, bullseye job by Magyar birds. By the way, it's the first time I see this kind of the aim. Could be a new drone system of Ukrainian army. Alright, and we have the satellite image of the airplane that was kaboomed in Taganrog a few days ago. This is the real thing. The airplane is no more. Whether it was used by Russia or not, it's hard to say, but what is clear that the airplanes were moved around the airfield and they were not put on a long-term storage. And the last night, the Ilyinsky oil refinery of Russia was hit, and it was visited by Ukrainian drones, not for the first time. However, this strike is exceptional. It caused a huge fire there. Yeah, locals report that it was a big kaboom and fire later on intensified. But Russia hit Ukraine the last night too, Dnipro city, Zaporizhia, Kiev, and there are also civilian casualties. 15 of the people lost their lives and many more were wounded by Russian drones and missiles. Unfortunately, Ukraine cannot intercept all of the ballistics which Russia sends on Ukraine. Simply not enough PAC-3 munition for Patriots, and that's the very big problem for Ukraine. So about the drones, about cruise missiles, Ukraine can handle it, but ballistics, unfortunately, no. Judging on the road, Russians were using cluster munition to hit civilian city. And this is Kiev. Auto shop of the Chinese vehicles, BYD, was hit. The smoke over the Kiev city in the morning. One of the drones, a jet Shahid, hit a residential building. And this building is completely gone, so civilian losses, civilian infrastructure was hit yesterday. So the problem with the gasoline is not just in Crimea or occupied territories. Russians have started to film those videos about the issues, lack of the fuel in St. Petersburg, and here is Yekaterinburg. One more big wave of the fuel shortage in Russia. Well, I think that it will not touch Moscow that much, but distant regions, Yekaterinburg, voila, you have issues. Some of the Russian tourists who decided to visit Crimea illegally have to stay there for longer because they cannot return, they cannot refuel their cars. They complain about it, posting videos on their Telegram channels, which are only accessible using VPNs. Yeah, they cannot exit Crimea. They went there and they cannot go back. Crimea is a black hole. Enjoy the music from Ukrainian drones and missiles. Alright, Russia finance officials tell Putin that war spending is unaffordable. Well, Putin doesn't believe in that. For Putin, he would like to cut every sort of the spending except war efforts. The social care, education for Putin, it doesn't matter that much. And today I read the report from the Institute for the Study of War. They believe that Putin thinks that he may conquer Ukraine pretty much soon, and he lives in his own informational bubble, it seems like. Definitely he obtains some of the fake reports from his military commanders. That's the shame. Oh, that's the shame for Russia, I would say, yeah? They're so desperate that they pay for even those kind of the crazy fraud influencers as Andrew Tate and his brother who attend Russia right now. They went to visit the economy forum in St. Petersburg, and look, they even disrespect, like, like, what the hell? This is disgrace. So they try to introduce this Russian culture, but look at this freak. Is the boss here and something is dropping from his mouth? Oh shit, that's the bread. They were met with the bread and salt. That's the usual tradition. Shh. Even some of the local guys, they're shocked, like, what the hell is he doing? They don't fucking care. They want money, and they're like those monkeys, and this is the circus for monkeys. This all about Russia, yeah? They hate West, but at the same time they beg to West, come here please, if you like Russia, come here. And we're gonna praise you, we're gonna pay you, I believe more than $1 million for sure. It was Russia for Andrew Tate, for his brother. Yeah, maybe even more. This is some sort of the new campaign. Even Candace Owens, who is this America First influencer, went to Russia recently, praising Putin, Russia, of course. They're like this Tucker Carlson wing of Russian paid influencers. And come on, Russia, where is your denazification? This is Andrew Tate. Should I recall what this clown does usually?
Hail SpaceX!
Yeah, that's Andrew Tate. He's not a real Nazi, he's just a freaking clown. And Russia pays for this clown to go to Russia. I have no doubts about it. Let me read you out what Russian main Z channels are saying about Andrew Tate and his brother. Yeah, popular English speaker blogger Andrew Tate visits Moscow, but this is a very bad choice of a guest. Even Russians themselves, they're shocked. For those who don't know, the Tate brothers are British-American bloggers known worldwide as the face of the toxic masculinity. Andrew Tate built his media career on statements that women are the property of men, victims of violence are to blame themselves, and all feminism is the threat to normal men. For the Russian audience, by the way, there was the own Tate-like blogger. His name is Arsen Markaryan, and he was arrested, and now he is in jail. The Tate brothers have criminal charges in Romania and the United Kingdom, human trafficking, sexual exploitation, rapes. 21 charges alone from the British prosecutor's office. The investigation found that the Tates were involved in recruiting women, transporting them to Romania and forcing them to film videos under physical and psychological pressure. This is not clear whether they themselves decided to arrange another shocking performance on the platform visiting Russia, but not all of the American influencers equal the soft power. In this case, this is a strategic mistake. Tate is popular among certain audience, young men focused on content about dominance and money, but his reputation in the media space among all decent people is unambiguous. He's a scandalous figure with criminal cases, a human trafficker, and a character who has been blocked by almost all major platforms. Any appearance of the Tates in the Russian media space is a reputational blow. They don't need a platform because they use any platform for self-promotion, and the association with them will damage the image of those who invited them. But some of the guys from UK, they like the guys like Andrew Tate, and they also like Candace Owens, who is visiting Russia too. She praised Russia just a couple of days ago, posting lots of the tweets, and by the way, Russian military bloggers are saying that Candace Owens is fine. So she's a good influencer for them. But Candace built her career on conspiracies. She is just like a second Tucker Carlson, female version of him, and the ideas are basically the same, and attitude to Russia as well. So Russia attracts those kind of the freaks to visit them. It means that Russian propaganda isn't desperate, but still there are some of the guys in the Western countries who consume this sort of the content. A really unhinged, populist one, but yeah, I would say Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, Andrew Tate, those are the influencers for the brainless people. Well, as for me, I have to watch them because it's my job. I have to understand what is happening in the media sphere and who is propelling the Russian propaganda first of all, and what are the reasons for it. In most of the cases, the pro-Russian narratives erupt simultaneously from those speakers. It means that it's the organized campaign. Alright guys, that's all what I want to say for today, and please support me on Patreon. The link for it is in the video description right below, or follow me on membership of the channel. And also please press like to this video and subscribe for the channel. It is very important. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.